He's an asshole. And what he brings to my country, what he's awakened in my country, is bigotry and distrust. He tells something, and then you go back and you see what he said, and it seems like the truth both times. He's so terrific at lying. I've never seen anybody so good. I mean,
When Cher decides to unleash her wrath, there's no holding back. And Donald Trump just became the target of her scathing verbal onslaught. She didn't merely criticize him, she tore him apart with the sharpness of a seasoned performer, hitting every note perfectly. The online world is buzzing, late-night comedians are reveling in the spectacle, and Trump is probably drafting an angry, all-caps retort as we speak. But let's be real, going head-to-head with Cher in full diva mode is a losing battle. This isn't just casual criticism, it's a masterclass in delivering a blistering, unforgettable takedown.
I have to tell you something. If someone said that my daughter was a hot piece of ass, I would put my fist through his face. Someone who would bring down the country because he doesn't win does not deserve anything, deserves nothing. He deserves nothing. He does not deserve any kind of respect, loyalty. I don't think he has two moral fibers to rub.
When Cher speaks her mind, there's no mistaking her message. Subtlety has never been her style. So when she turned her attention to Trump, she didn't hold back with a cryptic post or a half-hearted jab. Instead, she unleashed a fiery, no-holds-barred tirade that swept through like a hurricane, leaving nothing untouched. It was unapologetically bold, dripping with drama, and packed the kind of punch that could rival the climax of a sold-out stadium performance.
The people he will bring with him will put an end to any hope that women have of getting the rights that we had in Roe versus Wade. I believe they will put an end to any gay marriage. They will put an end to gay adoption. It's not going to hurt me. I'm 70. It's not going to do anything to me, but it's going to do stuff to young people. And that really scares me and it really bothers me.
If you're enjoying this, don't forget to hit subscribe. Now, let's break down how this legendary takedown went down. Did she drop a tweet so sharp it made Elon Musk consider banning caps lock to avoid future chaos? Or did she steal the show during a TV appearance, turning what was supposed to be an interview into a masterclass in unfiltered roasting? Or, and this is our favorite guess, did she deliver it with the kind of theatrical flair that could only come from a rock opera's climactic moment? Honestly, if anyone could transform a political critique into an award-worthy performance, it's Cher.
I will try and be as direct and honest with you as I possibly can be. I am positive that you are the most unattractive man I have ever met in my entire life. You have demonstrated every loathsome characteristic of the male personality and even discovered a few new ones. You are
And then, out of nowhere, it arrived. A moment so seismic it reverberated worldwide. Whether you were scrolling on your phone, channel surfing, or just enjoying a quiet moment with your coffee, boom. It landed. A verbal strike so powerful it froze people mid-step, made them hit replay, and left them asking, wait, did she actually say that? Yes, she absolutely did. No question about it.
People in America could realize what kind of a person he is. What kind of, yes, but worse than that. And probably not very good. But
somewhere in the opulent corridors of Mar-a-Lago, Trump probably choked on his Diet Coke. One second, he was engrossed in his usual routine, hammering out all-caps rants about ratings, polls, or his self-proclaimed golf genius. And the next, all hell broke loose. Phones lit up, aides rushed around in a panic, and Fox News scrambled to put together a damage control segment to save face. Meanwhile, the internet went wild. Twitter, or whatever Elon's calling it now, became a war zone, Instagram flooded with memes, and TikTok was already celebrating like it had won the Super Bowl. The response was instant and ruthless. People chopped, looped, and remixed the moment into infinity. Dramatic slow-mo edits of Cher's takedown, auto-tuned roasts, and every meme format imaginable. Celebrities jumped in, some posting cryptic laughing emojis, others boldly declaring she didn't hold back. Even those who usually steer clear of politics couldn't look away, as if they'd scored VIP tickets to a Cher spectacle. She'd done it, dropped the mic, walked off stage, and left the world in awe. Now the only questions are, What will Trump do next? And is Cher done, or is this just the beginning?
Total, complete alpha energy.
You could feel the tension rising. The second Cher launched her blistering attack on Trump, it was like lighting a fuse on a bomb. There was no way he'd stay silent, and right on cue, as the internet was still reeling from the wave of laughter, bang! Trump fired back on Truth Social. It was a chaotic all-caps eruption, exclamation marks flying everywhere like debris in a tornado. He went into full defensive mode, hammering out a reply as if his keyboard had personally betrayed him. His usual playbook was in full effect: deny everything, shift blame, toss out insults, and somehow make it all about him. It was a meltdown so epic, it deserved its own documentary.
Let's take a look at some of the people that claimed that they would leave America if Donald Trump became president again. In 2020, Barbara Streisand raised eyebrows when she said she'd move to England if Trump won a second term. She's still there. We, of course, saw Ellen leave with her partner, Portia de Rossi. She went to the Cotswolds in the UK. And actress America Ferrera claimed that she might be leaving at some point. Sharon Stone also said that she might move to Italy. Bring us up to speed on the celebrities that wanted to flee the States and those that are actually going to stick around.
Let's dive into his attempt to undermine Cher's legacy. Because, let's be real, targeting someone who's dominated music, film, and pop culture for over half a century is a risky play. This is a woman whose accolades outnumber Trump's business flops, a living legend who's navigated Hollywood scandals and social media spats without ever losing her cool. Not the smartest strategy, but here's the twist. In his haste to diminish her, Trump inadvertently spotlighted her monumental achievements. It was like someone trying to argue that Serena Williams isn't a tennis great while rattling off all her Grand Slam titles, a masterclass in accidental self-own. Meanwhile, his team was in full panic mode. The spin doctors were working double time, scrambling to control the narrative before he accidentally gave Cher's legacy even more shine. Over at Fox News, they were likely dusting off their usual script, framing Cher as some disconnected Hollywood elitist. Because naturally, that's their default, but the internet wasn't buying it. People saw the tired tactic for what it was, and the pushback was immediate. If anything, Trump's outburst only solidified Cher's reputation as an unstoppable icon.
Like on paper, he looks so good, you know. He was brought up rich. He had a good education. He's got all these young chicks. I don't know how young, but he's got all these young chicks, and he just keeps trading them in on younger chicks. And he's got all this money, and he's famous, and still he's such a dick.
And then, as predicted, came the nicknames. Because naturally, Trump couldn't resist throwing out some clumsy, childish attempt at an insult. It was meant to sting, but instead, it sounded like something a drag queen would veto in the first round of auditions. Meanwhile, Cher, the ultimate icon of reinvention and flair, could have easily transformed his weak digs into a lucrative merchandise line. In fact, she was probably already getting calls to slap his nonsensical rants on t-shirts and sell them for top dollar. But here's the best part. Cher didn't even dignify it with a response. She didn't have to. She let the world do the roasting for her, kicking back, sipping a drink, and basking in the chaos she'd created. While Trump was losing his grip, ranting and scrambling to fire back, Cher remained the epitome of cool, quietly savoring the show. The difference was crystal clear. She was unflappable, while he was coming apart at the seams.
I believe, none of us are perfect, but I believe she's genuine, and I believe, unlike Trump, who his friend of 20 years said the other night, Donnie Deutsch, said he doesn't want to be president. He said no one's more surprised than him. He wants the crowds, he wants the adulation, he doesn't give a shit about the world.
Here's the reality. Cher isn't just an icon. She's untouchable. She's weathered every era, every industry shift, and every attempt to count her out. Meanwhile, Trump, he's become a living meme, a man whose every outburst only adds to the punchline. And this time, the punchline was all about him. Cher wasn't just ahead, she was in a league of her own. The second Trump botched his feeble comeback, the internet exploded, and there she was, front and center, unbothered, unshaken, and completely triumphant. While Trump floundered, desperately trying to regain control of the narrative, Cher soared. She leaned into the moment like the seasoned pro she is, fully aware the spotlight was hers to keep. The name Cher spread like wildfire, transforming from a typo into a full-blown cultural moment. And Cher, she knew exactly how to handle it. Instead of retaliating with anger, she leaned into the humor, embracing her accidental new role with the kind of effortless grace only she can muster. She wasn't just winning the fight, she was redefining the entire game.
How did nobody run?
What are my thoughts on the Trump shooting?
Secret Service, these guys are the best in the business. Not going to happen again, and,
I want to say there shouldn't be political violence, but at this point...
Elections are like a clown show.
I think it's a gun rights thing.
You see Trump shot, and you're thinking, well, did they actually get him?
I guess it's possible that it's a hoax, but I think it probably happened.
Our government lies to us all the time. It's not like he's above it.
He looks even stronger now.
If you not want to vote,
Probably sealed the deal that he's going to be the president-elect.
come run for president at this.
Online, the conversation wasn't about politics or digging up past scandals. People were too busy rallying behind Cher forever. Comment sections turned into fan forums, with profile pics replaced by throwback Cher album art and creative memes of her triumphantly riding a glittering chariot into the fray. The internet had chosen its champion, and it wasn't the guy angrily typing away from his lavish Florida estate. Trump's irritation was reaching its peak. Every effort to refocus the narrative on himself only made things worse. His rants weren't met with intimidation or reverence. They were instantly memified, sometimes before he even hit post. No matter what he did, the world couldn't let go of the Cher craze. She had claimed the spotlight, and it wasn't going back to him anytime soon.
Okay, you have, rightly so, been incredibly outspoken about your disapproval of President Donald Trump. Say one nice thing about him.
No! What's one nice thing about him? There's nothing nice about him. I can't say one nice thing about him.
And Cher, she could feel it. The exact moment when the fight stopped being a fight and turned into one person yelling into emptiness while the other reveled in their triumph. She didn't need to say much, just a few well-placed comments here and there. A chuckle, a sly wink, a knowing grin that made it clear she wasn't just in the game, she was running it. In the midst of the frenzy, someone unearthed Trump's old jab about her career being finished, and the irony was almost too good to be true. While he floundered, Cher effortlessly became the star of the week's biggest viral sensation without even trying. His insults had curdled like spoiled milk, while she stayed timeless, untouchable, and completely unshaken.
I will do everything in my power to protect our LGBTQ citizens from the violence and oppression of a hateful foreign ideology.
Cher, what was your reaction when you heard him say that?
Oh, come on. And he says it. He says those letters like a child that's just learning the alphabet and then pokes his finger in the air for Q. I mean, he's the most disingenuous man I've ever seen. And I want to tell you, my people will not believe him for a minute. And I read that he was at a 7-hour, closed-door meeting with 400 of the most conservative, hate gay people, LGBT community that there are. So how does he go from that meeting to telling my people that he will...
Late-night TV hosts couldn't help but jump in, their monologues oozing with secondhand cringe for Trump. Even his staunchest supporters were flailing, trying to twist the narrative in his favor. But how could they? Here was a man so rattled by a pop legend that he accidentally gave her a whole new cultural moment. It was a textbook case of self-destruction, the kind no spin doctor could salvage. What started as a feud had ballooned into something much larger, a defining cultural moment, a snapshot of an unshakable icon standing tall, while a fuming ex-president flailed in the mess he'd created. The difference was stark. On one side, Cher was gliding through the viral storm, basking in the glow of the spotlight. On the other, Trump was trapped in a losing fight, lashing out at a joke he'd unintentionally sparked. It was a scene that made one thing crystal clear. Cher wasn't just ahead, she was rewriting the playbook on how to win.
you feel that you need to speak out?
Well, first of all, I'm a citizen, and that's my right. I've been through 11 presidents. We've been afraid of different countries, and we've been afraid of different actions from those countries. I never thought that I would fear actions from my own country.
You're always very vocal about women's issues and supportive. Are you encouraged by the changes that are happening?
I am. I'm so much. I am so happy, and it's taken so long. I remember what you had to go through and men patting you on the head, and you're a star and you're making all this money and men are still.
By the time the chaos subsided, it wasn't just about who fired off which insult. It was about who walked away with their legacy intact. Trump had hurled everything he could at her, but he couldn't avoid the glaring truth. Cher wasn't just victorious, she was eternal. She wasn't just stirring the pot, she was on a full-throttle mission. From Provincetown to Miami to Fire Island, she wasn't merely showing up at fundraisers, she was turning them into unforgettable cultural events. Political speeches? Forget it. She transformed them into show-stopping spectacles. Every space she entered became an arena, every mic a platform, and every dig at Trump a viral anthem. But this wasn't just Cher against Trump anymore. She had an entire army backing her. Drag queens, Cher lookalikes, and lifelong fans who'd been with her since the 60s. They all united behind her. At every gathering, there were endless renditions of Cher. Glamorous Cher, disco Cher, leather-clad turn-back-time Cher. And they all had one goal, to roast Trump into the ground. The movement had exploded beyond anyone's expectations, and Cher was at the helm, steering it with the kind of charisma only she could bring.
Where someone's got pretty much control over if you live, or if you can feed your children, or you can pay your rent, or you can do whatever, or if you're here illegally, or a million different things.
Cher's fundraisers had all the energy of a sold-out Vegas spectacle rather than a traditional political rally. Between passionate speeches, she belted out iconic hits, threw in sharp-witted jabs at Trump, and seamlessly flowed back into the music, sending the audience into a frenzy. This wasn't just an endorsement, it was a full-fledged movement, powered by glitz, charisma, and a legendary voice. Meanwhile, Trump lurked in the background, likely baffled by the fact that Cher had suddenly become the biggest force on the internet. At the end of the day, Trump can rant in all caps online all he wants, but let's be real, Cher has already secured her victory. While he wastes time firing off bitter posts, she stands on a legacy that's untouchable. She's conquered every musical era, reinvented herself time and time again, and stayed relevant for over 6 decades. Trump? He's still struggling with basic tasks like closing an umbrella. The contrast couldn't be starker. Cher isn't just thriving, she's changing the game entirely.
Say one nice thing about him.
And as for that tired, past her prime argument, give me a break. Cher has been outlasting time, logic, and the laws of physics for more than half a century. She's weathered fashion risks that would have ended lesser careers, reinvented herself more times than anyone can count, and still sells out arenas like she's at the peak of her powers. Meanwhile, Trump's idea of staying youthful is a questionable orange glow and an endless diet of burgers and fries. But let's be honest, this showdown is far from finished. Cher's got a treasure trove of zingers and zero hesitation about speaking her truth. Trump, he's incapable of letting anything slide. If you think this is the end, you're mistaken. The next time Trump so much as tweets on Truth Social, Cher will be poised with another mic drop moment. And when the smoke finally clears, Cher will still be standing, probably in a sequin jumpsuit belting out "If I Could Turn Back Time," while Trump desperately wishes he could rewind the clock. So, what's your take? Who's in the right, who's in the wrong, and who's coming out on top? If you love this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more.